When you can't live independently, you don't get many chances to rebel. This is from this book, Being Human, an unrepentant memoir of disability rights activist Judith Heumann.
On March 13, 1990, disability activists from across the country occupied the rotunda of the Capitol to demand the passage of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Hey y'all, I got done watching the documentary, Change, Not Charity, the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's one that just came out, and it was part of the American Experience by the PBS. Those documentaries, they always do such a fantastic job. And this one had just, like I said, just came out, and I'd wanted to watch it. And I will link it below. You can watch it here right on YouTube. It's about an hour long. So worth it if you are at all curious, about the disability activism movement. That really started in the 1970s up until 1990, when the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, was finally put into law here in the United States.
At the base of the Capitol, protesters parked their wheelchairs, dropped to the ground, and started dragging themselves up the 83 marble steps.
I sat down and I back-butted up the rest of the stairs. Going up, it released those feelings of anger, of, damn it, I'm in a position that I gotta do this. That we have to do this as disabled people. That we have to do this to make y'all see.
I cried a lot watching that. But I knew I would. So, but yeah, I just loved learning about what those badass people did back in the day to really facilitate both Section 504 and ADA itself. Just amazing. Is a perfect pairing for Being Human, which is the book I'm currently reading, an unrepentant memoir of a disability rights activist. Gosh, this is of course all about Judith Heumann. Really key role in disability activism movement, and this is just her kind of her memoir. And so we learned about her childhood and how she became disabled and what life was like growing up for her, and how hard it was because the world just was not accessible to her. And yeah, it's really good. I'm almost done, but it's a perfect pairing to watch this documentary and read this book. Yeah, so I would recommend. So I'm gonna finish this, and yeah. So I come into knowing more about disability activism in general as the parent of a disabled child. I myself am not disabled, so I never speak as I'm a voice for as that because I'm not a disabled person, so I don't know what it's like navigating through this world as a disabled person, but I know what it's like navigating my son through this world. You know what I mean? And, you know, my son has Down syndrome, and when he was born, it was like, because we had done some of the preliminary testing just to know, you know, sometimes you just want to know what's coming, right? But we didn't have any kind of inclination that we should be concerned about anything. There's a thing called false positives and false negatives. Did you know that? Yeah. But, and, you know, as we've sort of officially got his Down syndrome diagnosis, he was probably 4 or 5 days old, after genetic testing, you know. And they send an intern to give us the get the official diagnosis. This poor guy, he's just doing his like rounds in the neonatal circuit, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, how did this, I was upset. Because my son was also in the NICU. So, I mean, I had that on top of everything, right? And being told that, you know, yeah, you know, you did the testing, and yeah, and being told, he told us to our face that, yeah, it's just bad luck. So the outlook of, I would say, in particular, something like Down syndrome, which comes, as we know, with intellectual disability, there's still so many challenges that I know this population face because I see it. You know, we go to Target or something, and you know, people just stare at him. Sometimes grown people, stare at my child in the grocery store or wherever we are. And sometimes it really sucks. I love my kid fiercely. I will do anything for him. I'm glad that he's in my life. But some days it sucks. And I think it's okay to say that. But it's these people, like Judy. But it's these people those people that literally drag themselves up the steps. That I know my son's life is okay, you know, things are in place for him now that weren't in place for them. That means something to me. And we live right now in America where we have a piece of shit president who wants to just dismantle things and turn things totally upside down. You know, he wants to get rid of the Department of Education, which the Department of Education is over my son's education, you know, the special education that provides funding and direction for the states as at a federal level where, you know, these are the things in place that makes everything equal. Okay? Because here's the thing. Before a federal mandate was put in place, states wouldn't always educate the disabled, or they wouldn't educate them in an equal way. You learn about this from her. She was placed in special education classes, but didn't need to be there. She was just put there because she's in a wheelchair. And that would have been like the 50s and 60s. And I just feel like, damn, she's probably was dang unlucky to even go to school. Because I can imagine around here where I live in North Carolina, a disabled child in 1955 going to a public school. Are you kidding me? Let's just be so for real. You know what I'm saying? So when they say they want to get rid of the Department of Education, what I hear is, maybe everyone doesn't actually need to be educated. So they want to push things like, this video is all over the place. I don't know. You can do with it what you want. So they say they want to push it back to the states. These are the states that could choose not to educate people with disabilities, okay? So when I'm saying, when you give them the option to not do it, they won't do it. That's why a federal mandate was put in place so that every state has the same rules regarding educating students with disabilities. Because without any sort of federal guidance, the states will choose to not do it. Hello. Fucking hello. Wake up. Well, now I know they can't, I know they can't actually get rid of the Department of Education. That's a Congress thing. But, they're shifting things around, right? So now Department of Education, stuff's going to be put under the Department of Health and Human Services, because nothing says education like the Department of Health and Human Services, right? That's wonderful, which is also headed up by, RFK Jr., who believes that vaccines cause autism. That's amazing. He is a despicable human being. My child also has autism, by the way, but deserves to be educated. So here's the thing. I just don't even know anymore. And I am absolutely terrified for the future of my child. And, just anyone else with disabilities. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the future for anybody. Anyway, I'm getting mad, I guess, but it's kind of late. But I don't know. I think this is very important. I think if you are just, got even just half an eye on what's going on, I know sometimes we got to take a little break and, do something silly, because it's something terrible every day. But I think this is an eye-opener, just in general. That documentary, I can't recommend it enough. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough. It was fantastic. And pair these two together, I think, gives you a really nice kind of full story. And I'm sure only scratches the surface, of course, about everything, This stuff is important. It's important to know. Because here's, the thing with a disability that people don't get is that anyone can become a part of this minority group at any time. It's not like a race where, like, I can't ever become, a different race, or things like that, or where I can be discriminated against. Like, these things are not the same, right? Disability doesn't give a shit if you're what color of your skin, your gender, your socioeconomic standing. It does not care, And I think that's what people just don't really seem to get, is that disability doesn't care. It actually doesn't care, but you should care. You should care about the disabled people in your communities, in your kids' schools. You should care. You should care. Anyway, I'll check in when, I don't know, this is, I guess, turned into some kind of random vlog. I don't know. I'll check in later. Okay, I have finished Being Human, the Unrepentant Memoir of a Disability Rights Activist, by, of course, Judith Heumann. And fantastic, amazing. I absolutely loved this book. I loved hearing about her life and all of the things that she was so involved in with disability advocacy, helping the government set up so much as far as, like, just even committees, or working with she worked with the State Department under Obama. I mean, she worked with the World Bank with the disability community globally. I mean, what a person. What a person. I mean, and yeah, this was so flippin' good. So I highly recommend it. If you're, I highly recommend it. I think everyone should read this book. And I think you'll come away with a bit of a open mind, maybe. And yeah, it's excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I know I'm not normally a tabby person, but this was good. And yeah, fantastic. I don't know if I really talked much. This is a memoir of Judith Heumann, yeah. So just turn the back. She was paralyzed from polio at 18 months old, so she really spent, most of her life being disabled. But she began her struggle for equality early in life, from fighting to attend grade school to later winning a lawsuit against the New York City school system for denying her teacher's license because of her paralysis, and becoming the first wheelchair rider to receive a teacher's license, to leading to the Section 504 sit-in, which led to the creation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Judy has set precedents that improved rights for disabled people. Candid, intimate, and irreverent, this is a story of one woman's lifelong battle, from the streets of Brooklyn and San Francisco to inside the halls of Washington, to make real a world in which we all belong. So yes, please read this book. Honestly, it's so good. It's so good. Pair it with that new documentary from PBS. I think I gained a lot watching them in both, because she was so involved in and she's in the documentary. You see little blurbs of her too. Anyway, yes, so good. Let me try to read some of these quotes. Let's try it. I still remember the day I was 5, and my mother had taken me to kindergarten to register for kindergarten. My mother helped me put on a nice dress and pushed me to school, and pulled my wheelchair up the steps, but the principal refused to allow me to enter. Judy is a fire hazard, he said, explaining to my shocked mother how the school system saw wheelchairs as a dangerous obstruction. Children who used wheelchairs were not permitted to attend school. I would stay home. Just this right here. I wasn't expected to be a part of the world. In America, school is considered so important that since 1918, it has been compulsory for everyone except us. Nobody expected the special ed kids to learn. Many didn't expect us to progress from elementary school, middle school, high school, university. We were expected to stay at the Health Conservation 21 at that school until we were 21 years old, at which point we were supposed to enter a sheltered workshop. 22. Because the country was so inaccessible, disabled people had a hard time getting out and doing things, which made us invisible. So we were easy to discount and ignore. Until institutions were forced to accommodate us, we would remain locked out and invisible. And as long as we were locked out and invisible, no one would see our true force and would dismiss us. What I learned about Judith Heumann was her tenacity. Wow, she didn't take no for an answer. And she went out and got what she wanted, along with, of course, all these other advocates and stuff. But she was just a force to be reckoned with. We underappreciate our human rights in America. But human rights are like salamanders. You don't notice they're disappearing until suddenly you realize they're gone. Again, I just highly recommend this book. I think it will open your eyes to people with disabilities, if that's just not something that's, in your day-to-day life. And just learning about this really amazing person, honestly. She was a force. She was a force. So yes, I love this. Read it. Okay, guys, I don't know that this video is going to see the light of day. I felt very off and emotional and ranty and rambly. I don't know. Maybe I'll just put it out there. If you watch it, thank you. I do appreciate it. I'm going to leave it here, though. I really appreciate you watching. And I hope that you will, I honestly hope you'll read this book. I hope you'll watch that documentary. I'm going to also link a TED Talk that Judith did. I'm going to link that below and some other things that I want to relate to Judith and ADA. I don't know, whatever I can think of. If you just want further information, please look at it. Please watch, please read. It's important now. It's really important now that we just come together and we have to fight. I don't know. We have to fight together to make it through. We have to fight together to make it through these next 4 years here in the U.S. All right, I'm gonna leave it here. Again, I appreciate all of you here that take the time to watch this space, and please be kind to each other. Please be kind in the comments. I think I've been very vulnerable in this video, but bye.